What's up, guys?
Back at you with another episode from the Backups.
In this video, we're going to be doing our third installment of the NBA All-Decades teams.
Yeah, we're going all the way from 2010 to 1960. We already did the one on the 2010s. We already did the one on the 2000s, so make sure to check those out.
We also did the same for the NHL, 2010 all the way down to 1960. Go check those out as well if you like hockey and or us.
So this episode's going to be about the 90s, and the 90s was a time when there were so many great teams. You know, you got the Rockets, who couldn't win anything until after Michael Jordan was playing baseball.
You got the Knicks, who consistently choked every year and disappointed all Knicks fans.
Led by Patrick Ewing, who got a daily dose of nuts on his head every time he went out on the court.
And even the mailman over in Utah, who could never deliver the important mail.
I come in peace, but I do prepare for war if I have to.
And we haven't forgotten about you, Charles. No matter how many teams you went to, you could never get that chip.
What the hell?
So, okay, let's stop with the roasting of the teams.
That was fun.
Yeah, fun.
Let's get into the list. I was really excited to do the research for this.
Yeah.
Really excited to make the list because there's so many good players from the 90s, obviously. You know, a lot of them couldn't get past, couldn't get all the way to a championship with the Bulls and Michael Jordan. But there was a lot of, just classic teams in this era.
Definitely. Teams that could have maybe won another decade, but
Yeah,
since they
for
were
sure.
stuck with the Bulls, couldn't get the job done.
The Sonics, the Suns, the Knicks. The Knicks, even after, I don't even believe they would have.
Trailblazers.
They're just, teams I think they could have.
And the Knicks.
Yeah, so a lot of teams lost their chance when Michael Jordan was playing. So, first player definitely knows a lot about that. John Stockton, 2-time loser in the finals, 8-time All-Star, 2-time first team, 7-time assist leader.
Dang,
6 times he averaged over 12 assists per game.
that's nuts.
He's number 1 in assists of all time, and it's not even that close.
Yeah, easily the best passer of the decade by miles.
Yeah, he almost never missed games. He was super consistent. He was great to play with. He made
was
other
clutch.
people better. He was clutch.
Very clutch.
And personally, I think he made Karl Malone a lot better than he would have been with
definitely.
anybody else. I think he's definitely the type of guy to elevate his teammates. And even though he didn't win a championship, he had some tough competition.
Definitely.
And he was one of the best point guards of all time.
Definitely. Natural point guards.
Yeah.
Another guy that I think's very mentionable as a point guard is Gary Payton. The Glove. 5-time All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year in 1996, First Team in 1998, 6-time Defensive First Team. Be careful with that water there, right?
Yeah, shit, dude. I have a drinking problem.
Gary Payton, he was great for the Sonics.
Yeah.
Throwing those lobs up to the Rain Man. Probably debatably the best defensive player of the decade, I think.
Yeah.
Overall.
Definitely one of the best defensive guards ever.
Best defensive guards ever.
Probably the best defensive point guard. I think he really prided himself in being a great defender, and he was just tough. He would was just relentless. So I think he was a great player. Another player that got a little plugged up by Jordan.
Yep.
Jordan and the Bulls, but
Him and Stockton both were witnesses of Michael Jordan just stomping their teams.
Yeah. And then speaking of Michael Jordan,
starting shooting guard for the 90s.
Guess who?
You know what the fuck basketball is? You know who this guy is?
Clyde
Michael.
Drexler. No.
Michael Jordan, baby. 6-time champ, 6-time Finals MVP, 4-time MVP, 7-time first team, 7-time defensive first team.
That's it?
7-time scoring champ.
Oh.
Yeah.
And maybe if you got 8, I would have been impressed. But 7.
the GOAT himself, his airness. Here he is in his prime, getting 6 championships in the 90s. No other player was better. Really, it's undisputable, pretty much.
And he only played 7 seasons. He was a 7-time scoring champ in the 90s. And he played 7 years in the 90s. So
every single
leading scoring every time he was on the floor. Just ridiculous. 4-time MVP. Won 6 out of the 7 years. The only one he didn't was I think he didn't win in 90.
Yeah, he did.
But then after that, or no, he didn't win in 90. Well, he was kind of back in 95 after his retirement, but that's kind of a weird year.
45 Jordan.
But yeah, he just dominated that whole. The only time people had a chance is when he was gone.
Pretty much.
Playing on other teams, in other leagues, or retired.
Or playing fucking baseball.
Yeah, I think one of those guys that definitely a lot of people kind of thought was the poor man's Jordan a little bit. Mm-hmm. Clyde Drexler.
Clyde the Glide.
He was able to get one. Mm-hmm. Kind of, hopped on the Rockets at the right time. Michael left, let him get a little championship real quick. Mm-hmm. And 7-time All-Star, 92 first team. He was a beast in the early 90s especially. Just captaining that Trailblazers team.
Oh,
and then
with
the Rockets, he wasn't as amazing. He wasn't the best player on his team anymore, but it got him a championship.
Yeah, he was still good.
He was definitely one of the best players.
He still played a part on that team.
Oh, for sure, yeah. He was one of the best players of the decade, no doubt. He was an amazing dunker, had a silky shot. Just a lot kind of like Michael Jordan, but
yeah. Poor man's.
Yeah, the poor man's Michael.
He was a very entertaining player to watch. At least the highlights and stuff. Watching all his highlight clips, he had some great dunks and he had some great ISO shots.
Yeah,
he was a great player.
Pretty dope. Clyde the Glide. Clyde will abide.
Clyde will abide.
This next guy, starting small forward. I think most of you should know who it is. Some call him Michael Jordan's sidekick. Most people call him Scottie Pippen.
Got it 200, just got it 200.
6-time NBA champ, 7-time All-Star, 3-time first team, 8-time defensive first team, which is insane. Steals per game leader in 95. He played such a crucial role for the Bulls team. Obviously, he wasn't as good as Jordan, but he was definitely he's one of the all-time greats.
Definitely.
And he was really pushed that team from, before he got there, Michael Jordan was just getting pushed around by the Pistons,
pretty much.
The Celtics. He didn't even make it to the finals. And then when Scottie Pippen arrived, it was kind of I finally have somebody else here. And he just really made the difference for that team. Yeah. His defense was just crazy. He put so much effort into the defense, and
it showed.
Yeah, so he's an amazing player.
Yeah, Scottie too hotty. Yeah, Robin to Batman and Jordan.
Yeah,
but I think he's overshadowed by Jordan.
Yeah,
Jordan. I think
it's probably kind of frustrating to just be known as the sidekick.
Yeah, but I think he's got his own niche in NBA history of the effect he had on the game. And stuff.
For sure.
How good he was defensively and how much effort he put into that.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on down to the backup, we decided on Mr. Grant Hill, 4-time All-Star, first team in 1997, and co-rookie of the year 1995 with Jake Kidd. Yeah, Grant Hill, he burst onto the scene right away.
Yeah,
for Detroit.
Yeah, he had some really good years. He came in 95, so he had to have played pretty good to be on this list because he didn't really have the longevity, aspect. So he had multiple. Right when he came into the league, he had 5 straight 20-plus, points per game years. I think one year he had 27, and he just burst onto the scene so early and just showed how good he could have been for so long if he didn't just get injured
and have that derail his career.
Yeah, it was either between him or Chris Mullin.
Yeah.
Chris Mullin definitely had some good years. He was at the back 80s. End of his career.
Yeah.
A little bit of 80s. So
one of those dudes that was kind of split in both decades.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing with these decades lists, is finding the guys that had that perfect 9-year, 10-year
Yeah, there's
span.
some guys who were just like, I mean, obviously Jordan had good years in the 80s, but like you just look at his 90s and it's just so perfect.
Yeah.
You know, Larry Bird fits so perfectly in the 80s, so does Magic. But some players just kind of fall in between eras a bit, I guess.
Yeah, or just at least in between decades.
Yeah, I guess not all decades are just like an era in itself,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Moving on down to the power forward position. One of the all-time greats at power forward, Karl Malone, the mailman.
The mailman, the man we shit on earlier.
Yeah, I mentioned him earlier. 2-time MVP, 9-time All-Star, 10-time first team, 3-time defensive first team. He was the man. I mean, like, he was a great pair with John Stockton to try and take down the Bulls. And they were close. I mean, really, essentially they were.
Yeah.
And I think he, like you mentioned earlier, John Stockton made him a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But his talent also just kind of showed out in itself of what he could put up on the court.
He was a beast.
Yeah.
Like, he was a true, like, old-fashioned big man. Like, I'm gonna, like, you know, I get hits in mid-range jumpers, but I'll just, like, dominate you in the post and just, like, dunk all over you. Like,
Exactly.
he was definitely amazing. Like, yeah, like, carried that Jazz team to so many, like, big, you know, like, long playoff, like, you know, runs. Fortunately, none of them went all the way.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's not totally his fault.
Exactly. Yeah. He was. I think. I mean, there's a couple other good power forwards in the decade, but I think he definitely topped the list. The 2 MVPs, being an all-star pretty much all years.
Mm-hmm. He's the only guy that I consider like a locked-in top 5 power forward of all time. Because I think a lot of those came in the 2000s, but I think he's like one at least where you're like he has to be in there. And so another power forward that's kind of in that conversation from this decade, Charles Barkley,
Sir Charles,
Chuck, the round mound of rebounds. That's a fun nickname for you. He won MVP in '93, 8-time All-Star, 3-time first team. He was really good in the 80s too.
Yeah.
When he was younger, when he played with the Sixers, and then he played with some really interesting teams. He played with the Suns. That was a really good team. And then he played with the Rockets. So he bounced around. Yeah, tried to find his place where he could win a championship. None of that really worked, but he...
Never happened.
Yeah, but he had some good attempts, some good teams. You know, that Sun team that went to the finals, that went to 6 games.
And even for a couple years in the 90s, he really was like a top 3 player.
Yeah, I mean, 1993 MVP. He was, 3-time first team. He was definitely a beast there. Like, especially the like beginning half of the 90s. He was just amazing.
He was still great.
Yeah.
And then moving on down to center,
we got the Dream, Hakeem Olajuwon. He got his chance when Michael Jordan started playing baseball. Won 2 championships, back-to-back, 94 and 95. He was also the MVP in 94, 7-time All-Star, 3-time first team, 3-time defensive first team, 3-time blocks leader, which is insane. And he was just a really interesting player. He was a big, but he had a lot of like finesse to his game with the power. And it was just really interesting. Like, he had really good footwork. You could just kind of tell he was different. You know what I mean? And he only started playing basketball when he was like 15, 16. Like, that's ridiculous how skilled he was on the court for only playing for like a few years until he went in. But he was the leader of that Rockets team, undoubtedly.
The Dream Shake, no one could stop it.
Amazing post moves, amazing defender. And he, he's one of the only other non-Bulls to get it done, so you gotta commend them for that. I'm sure people were, scrapping to try to seize that opportunity when Michael Jordan retired.
Definitely.
So gotta hand it to him.
Took advantage of it.
Yep.
And then for the backup, we got a beast of a dude, the Admiral, David
Robinson. David.
champion in '99, MVP in 1995, 8-time All-Star,
Wow.
4-time First Team,
Wow.
Defensive Player of the Year, '92, and 4-time Defensive First Team. And I think he had the highest scoring game of the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, the 77-point game. I'm pretty sure that was the highest scoring game of the whole decade.
That's
Just
pretty.
just a little toss-in stat.
I mean, if you can score more than Michael Jordan in the 90s,
That must mean something.
that means you're pretty darn good.
True
I
that.
don't think Michael Jordan. I'm not sure. I know he got in the 60s at least a couple times.
But I'm pretty sure that 77 was.
I think that's the third most ever.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was
Yeah,
the most
so
in the
that-
decade.
That was crazy. He was going for the MVP. He was just going for the scoring title. He needed 70 points to get the scoring title. So he was probably just like, pass me the fucking ball. like this lad's the last game of the year doesn't mean shit. You're gonna pass me the ball. I want to get that scoring title.
True that.
That's so funny. And he was a beast, an amazing scorer.
He was
amazing
pretty, for a
defender.
big man. He was quicker than
Very
most.
nimble big man.
Yeah.
Like very quick.
Athletic too. Very
And
athletic.
Finally, when he went out, and then they were able to get Tim Duncan. That was the best thing that ever happened to them. David Robinson going out for that year.
Yeah.
Because then they were able to get another franchise player, and that really
Pushed him over the edge to get the championship.
and just made his career even, just like kind of rounded out his career nicely, like ending it with the Spurs, like winning, kind of like leaving them for like a new kind of dynasty.
Yeah,
That was pretty cool. So
definitely.
I like David Robinson.
He
Yeah.
deserves a spot on the list for sure.
So yeah, these 90s were pretty interesting to dig through.
Yeah, definitely. We watched the videos and dug into some stats, and we really liked.
Yeah.
We thought that the NBA in the '90s showcased some of the best talent in history. But we do both believe that I think a lot of it was overshadowed by the Bulls and them just going
for
on
sure.
a tear.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams who just look so good and so ready to like take their opportunity, but
And are even really good on paper.
yeah, like really good on paper, but just we're never able to piece it together. But I guess that's just that always happens. It's happening now with the Warriors.
Pretty much.
Well, but, I mean, I don't know how many great teams there are besides the Warriors in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
What?
But I mean, it happens almost all the time. You just kind of
Pretty
wait
much.
for your opportunity.
True that.
So that wraps it up for the 1990s NBA All Decades team.
Yep.
Make sure to check out all of our other All Decades videos, our reactions, our debates, lists,
All of it.
every single video. Please check out every single video. We would appreciate it. And
Yes.
make sure to drop a big fat fucking like.
Comment.
Hit
Tell-
that sub.
Tell us who you think we left on, or who didn't.
Yeah.
Who didn't deserve to be on it? Who you think we're shitting on too much? Probably won't stop us, but hey, it's
Yeah.
open to
You can
suggestions. Yeah.
You could give a good attempt.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Make sure to hit that bell. Also, we're gonna be coming out with a bunch of content starting right now.
You want to be notified when we post.
Yeah.
You
Oh
wanna
yeah.
see
It's gonna
it.
be
You want
coming.
to see it right away.
It's gonna be coming hot, heavy. You want to be on the ground floor of this shit.
True that.
So, that's it for today's video.
Take it easy.
Peace.
Peace.
My homie Dr. Dre came through with a gang to tangle Ray. And a fat ass Jake of some bubonic chronic that made me choke. Down in Africa. Tango Ray and chronic, yeah, I'm fucked up now. But it ain't no stopping. I'm still popping.